That's good.
Hi folks, welcome to IT Rockstars. My name is Scott Miller. This is the show that helps managed service providers and IT businesses generate more sales and leads. We do this by interviewing specialists in the area, in the industry. The show today, we have Bryce Whitty of Technibble. Bryce is going to tell us all about email prospecting and how to generate more business using emails. Today's show is sponsored by Bear Attack SEO. It's a book by myself where you will find out how you can generate more managed service clients using search engine optimization. We'll get into that a little bit later. Welcome to the show, Bryce. First question, why did you start Technibble? I see it's been on the go almost 13 years at this point. That's a long time. Why did you start it?
When I first started, this was, actually I started my business in 2002, and I was actually doing web design and computer repair at the time. But the thing is, there was websites that helped with the business side of web design. Like there's tons of sites for the like the actual skill side, but not a whole lot for the business. So I found, because I was also doing computer repair, there wasn't a site that helped with the business side. Again, there's plenty of sites for the skill, just not a whole lot for the actual business. So I first sort of started, it was almost a little bit bloggy format. So I go to computer repair jobs, something happened, maybe a client's expectations wasn't properly managed, or something, they might have even just been absolutely, off their rocker. And then I'd say, okay, this is what happened. This is how I handled it. And other techs were quite liking that, sort of a little bit of a lesson learned sort of thing. And then it just sort of really grew from there. Added a community, a lot of technicians who pretty much in the same position were joining it and learning and talking amongst each other. And then it just sort of went on its own, really, where the community just exploded. Everyone was helping each other, and sort of went from there.
So I first found out about Technibble. This was back when I was running a computer repair business here in Aberdeen, Scotland. And I was doing it on the side. I was doing it part-time. And I remember doing a few Google searches, and I was like, there's all these computer repair stores and shops like that. Surely there's a place that they can go, find out how to do certain things in business. I think at the time I was actually looking for a UK supplier for hardware. And that's how I came across Technibble. And what I found surprising about Technibble is just the amount of engagement and interactivity on the site, especially on the forums. Just kind of blew me away. I had a look at archive.org, and I see it goes all the way back. I think it was 2006. That's when you started?
2006.
Yeah. So
2000.
I came and saw some of the blog articles from back then. I was having a little read through them yesterday. Did you have any sort of vision in your head of what Technibble was going to be back then?
Yeah, so I was looking at some of the examples in the web design space that were that again talked about the business. Some sites that I quite liked, and it's actually still around today, is sitepoint.com, and they really covered the a lot of technical stuff, a lot of things, how to learn a new programming language, that sort of thing. But then again, also the business side, which is a site that I was using to help me, because getting clients in the web design space is not too different from getting clients in the computer repair space. Okay. So the way they had it was quite a similar format. So I sort of started off with a similar format, but then it sort of went right in its own direction. And I sort of just went where the market went and where my members wanted me to go. So that was, so I sort of went with the flow a lot as well, sort of. I see. Just adjust to what's happening. Yeah.
Okay. So onto the actual market itself, computer repair, is that still a viable business today, or do you see a lot of the technicians, IT business owners now moving to a managed service model? What's your thoughts on that?
If someone was starting today, I would probably say start with managed services. If you have the skills to do it, you have server skills and good networking skills, that sort of stuff. Some of the established people are doing pretty okay with just sort of break fix. Some people will computers still break, residential computers still break, but it isn't what it was. Things like iPads, cheap laptops, that sort of thing, just absolutely annihilated a lot of it. A lot of people disappeared, but
Yep.
the market shrunk. The amount of people that are in, say, one town, there's just not as many anymore. But it did consolidate for a lot of them. So, some of the people on Technibble forums are just about the last man standing, and they got all the residential work. So they're actually doing better than they ever did. Provided they built a solid enough business to actually be the last man standing. But if I was starting today, I'd just go straight into managed services. I can only see the residential market contracting a bit more. Managed services is still growing. And you hear people saying even managed services are dying, but I don't believe that.
No.
Like anything, things evolve. Some people are focusing a little bit more on managed security services.
Yeah, that's definitely a hot topic just now. Hey, folks, just a quick word from our sponsor of today's show. It's a book by myself. It's called Bear Attack SEO for Managed Service Providers. If you are looking to generate more qualified leads for your IT business, your MSP business, maybe you're just getting started out on your MSP business, or maybe you've been in business many years. Well, search engine optimization is the #1 way to generate qualified leads. And the reason I say it's the #1 way, it's the only way of generating qualified leads online where you can be in front of your potential customer at the right point in the buying cycle when they're actually looking for your service. So check out Bear Attack SEO. It's available on Amazon. Just Google it and you'll find it. Anyway, back to the show. Hope you enjoy. Thanks. It's interesting you say that the market's consolidated. As I mentioned there, I was doing break fix back in, I think it was 2007. And I did it up to probably about 2011 at the time. It was when things like iPads and things like that were becoming a lot more popular in the market. It just totally consolidated. And that's when I got out and I was like, the computer repair was kind of like, for me, it was like a hobby that I had when I was a kid. I used to take apart computers and then put them back together again. So I kind of just fell into it when I had to do other people's computers. So market's totally consolidated, I think, but it's interesting you say, it's got a little bit more, a little bit more to go. And that brings us on to the managed services. And I went into the sales side of managed services back about 3-4 years ago. And I found it was a real struggle for me. Getting ad hoc clients was easy. Even, from my perspective, I was in it via search, but doing managed service clients is a completely different ballgame. So when I emailed you and I asked, hey, I'd like to have you on the show because you have all this experience, and you came back to me and said, well, we can do something on email prospecting. I can tell your audience about email prospecting. It's extremely interesting exactly what that would be and how you do that. So I guess the question is, where do we start with email prospecting, Bryce, if we're looking to generate new business?
Sorry, go.
No, how do we go about that? What's the process?
All right, so let me think. So I just lost my notes here. Yeah, sorry. So with email prospecting, there's sort of a number of ways to build a list. Well, obviously, first you need a list to begin with. You actually need people to actually email. There are a number of ways to do it. One way I find quite easy is going to actually social events and conferences. Okay. A lot of people are handing out their business cards. These are people who are giving you business cards because they want to be contacted. You can pretty much go to a lot of these events and grab every business card you can find and then add that to the CRM. So like a lot of this stuff isn't like, this magic one trick that, it's actually just straightforward business. A lot of people are part of BNI groups. Again, they'll hand out business cards and all that. So, you can get business cards off that. Sometimes you may want to go to a conference of the vertical that you're targeting. I'm sure plenty of your past guests have mentioned like absolutely target a vertical. So like if there is the dental convention in town, you might want to go there and if you target, dental clients, of course, and grab as much information you can there. And that's another thing you can add to the CRM. So getting them is not necessarily the hard part. It's also what to do with it. Maybe
a trip-up question here for you, Bryce. What about GDPR? If you're getting, maybe you're not aware of it because you're down in Australia, but it doesn't apply. But if you're taking someone's business card and then you're adding them to your CRM system, is that, would they, do you think they'd have a problem with that? Could you get tripped up with that, or should you just tell the person, hey, can I email you when you take the business?
So I've read the US can spam act, the Canada one, which is called I can't remember what it's called. It's can stuff. There's a British one, and there's also an Australian one. Pretty much all the Canadian one is a little bit more full on. The American one is quite it's quite softer. British one's probably about on par with the US one, but in any case, it's got to do with how, like, if you scraped a website and then sent them stuff that they absolutely, I've actually got it written down, but it's all in the legal format. But if you scrape the websites and then send non-appropriate things, and that's not cool. It's a lot of the sort of, if I was to compress it to a single rule, it's sort of like just be cool about it. Like don't send a Viagra, that sort of stuff. But a lot of this is very old school sort of stuff, even before that. And with those laws that came in, including GDPR, although GDPR is more about the storage of that information, sort of where it travels to. And a lot of those CRMs have the ability to secure it properly, because like you don't want to keep it in a Excel spreadsheet, for example, because that doesn't play nice with GDPR.
On your
like
USB thumb drive. Okay.
What's that?
On your USB thumb drive.
Yeah, on your USB thumb drive. But most of it allowed to do it. It is probably worth reading to see what you can and can't do. But they allow for a lot of this.
Okay, so we've got this list of people. We've taken business cards. We went to networking events. Actually, there was one that I heard was a really good one if you're looking that aligns quite well for IT businesses. And that is, I know here in the UK they have it says an accounting piece of software called Xero. There's a lot of these Xero consultants that go about, and it's a really good avenue for IT businesses to go after the accountants in the room. I've heard that's a good one. But so we've got this list now. We've built it up. Business cards. Are there any other types of ways that we can maybe build up that list?
LinkedIn prospecting is quite popular as well.
Okay.
So what you could do with that is, obviously, first of all, have a good profile, both your business as well as your personal account. Build them up, say what you do. There's plenty of sites on how to do that sort of thing. I won't go into that, but make it really solid. But once you do that, what you can do is say, hop onto something like Google, find out who the local dental practices are, and punch that into LinkedIn and see whether they're on LinkedIn, and where a lot of businesses are. So hop on to the, try and find people working for that, and then connect to say, hey, I live in the local area. You can say that you're IT. You can say that your name keeps coming up. You can say lots of things, sort of whatever. You can try and practice with various different openings, see what converts the best for you. Okay. But once you do that, connect with them, and you can start a conversation. When you feel that the time is right, you can say, hey, can I send you, like a PDF or something that I think you'll find, really useful, and might help you with some of the problems that you got. Or maybe, can I add you to my list? That sort of thing, with stuff that'll help you with your IT business. IT for your business.
So LinkedIn, is there any other platforms or any other methods of getting these emails, or?
Those are probably the three most popular ones. Another thing would be obviously having an opt-in form on your web page. So if you're driving people via paid traffic or SEO to your website, opt-in form on the site often works well, or opt-in of some sort, like a dedicated page as well, say coming from Facebook. So those PDFs would solve a problem. So, say cybersecurity or something like that. So they always, whatever you're offering, whatever message you're giving, you're solving problems. You're not saying, I want to add you to my list and I want to sell to you. This is a problem that you're probably having as a dental agency. You might have trouble with the like HIPAA, which is the American one, but or complying with that. Or some people don't even know they need to comply with that. Yeah. So something that solves problems.
So what's the next step in the process then? We've got the big list here, and you mentioned they're sending off a PDF to them or something like that, but what would you see as the next step in I guess, create a relationship with this big list that you've got of email addresses?
All right. So once you have the big list, well, it's basically all numbers game. So you're not going to convert everybody, and it's like that with just about any marketing. And some will, straight up unsubscribe because they don't want to be contacted. And some people say, oh, that's a bad thing, but it's a good thing because it means you're not bothering people who don't want to be contacted, and you're also not wasting any time to try and follow up with these people.
Yeah, okay. That's really good advice right there.
Yeah. So a lot of people do sort of content marketing, like sending ongoing top things like, this is why your dental practice needs to comply with these laws. This is why that they're targeted by hackers, that sort of thing. Okay. But you can do things like lead scoring with your contacts. So what lead scoring is, it's assigning a point to an action for a contact. So let's say I sent you an email, you opened it. My email software would detect that and say, okay, you opened this email and you might be interested in what I'm reading. You're possibly reading them.
Yep.
So the first one, you might just open to see what the hell this is about, and then you might unsubscribe or delete, whatever. So you wouldn't go off just say one action, you'd go off 5 actions or 10 actions. So, okay, Scott keeps opening this. After I've sent about 10 to him and he's opened all 10 and he's clicked a few links on it as well. This guy's quite interested. This guy is reading what I'm sending out. This person may be someone I want to follow up with. So in your CRM, you have like, I know in Infusionsoft that has little flames, and it's like, this person is a 5 flame person, but however you want to do the scoring, you can set up your software like Infusionsoft to send you a task saying, Scott has opened 10 emails. This guy is most likely a hot prospect.
Okay.
So, and then I can call you, and then, and it's far more likely to convert because I know that you're somebody who's quite interested versus just emailing someone who only read one email and deleted the rest.
Okay. So the lead scoring, you mentioned Infusionsoft there. Now, and I know they've actually just released a new product, Infusionsoft. It was like the power tool of email CRM systems. Is there any, for the IT business owner, is there any software that you would recommend?
If you want to get into sort of automations and stuff, I find something like ActiveCampaign's pretty good. It can do a lot of what Infusionsoft can do at a much lower price tag.
Okay. What do you use yourself? Is that ActiveCampaign?
I've used Ontraport, and I'm actually migrating to ActiveCampaign because, again, that does a lot of the same thing at a different price point. It also integrates with significantly more things, so you can automate a much more of the process. So I'm always trying to automating. I think most techs are, and ActiveCampaign allows me to connect a lot more things to it. A lot of techs also use MailChimp. It's a pretty good starter. Mm-hmm. It's free for about 2,000 contacts.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I'm using at the moment. So I've got a tiny list price. My list's at about 130 at the moment, and I'm not doing any automation whatsoever at the moment. I send out an email every week with these videos basically on them. I guess I'm doing a manual type of lead scoring where I'm looking at the report. I'm going into the actual report of the emails that I've sent out. It tells me in MailChimp, it tells me who's opened the email, how many times they've opened it. But it also tells me who's clicked on the link to the video. So I post these videos onto my YouTube channel, and I can see the people on the list that are, every week they're clicking on the link. So I know that they're interested in these videos that I'm pushing out. So it's a very manual piece of work, but I guess it's a start more than anything else.
Yeah, well, that's one of the most important things is just starting. There's so many ways to do a lot of these sort of things, and a lot of techs try to do it perfectly, but it's more important to just start. And you don't have to have big software like Infusionsoft. MailChimp, like doing it the way you did it is perfectly fine as long as it's getting done, and you're sending out offers and you're contacting the people who are interested. Okay,
so. You've got, I know on Technibble, you've got a white label newsletter product that you resell to IT business owners. Mm-hmm. how does that tie into this email prospecting? Does it tie into this email prospecting? There, what's the connection there?
So sending out content's a really good way to convert prospects, or even reactivating your existing prospects. So something that product does is we create monthly content. That mentions sometimes evergreen things, sometimes topical things that like the latest virus, but sometimes it's things like sometimes it will be like a soft informational article that's like, okay, why you shouldn't use your a Hotmail email address with business and there's plenty of reasons for that as well.
Okay.
Other stuff is more like why aging servers are a problem. They don't get patches, they may fail quickly. Sometimes it talks about business like redundancy or business continuation, that sort of thing.
Okay. So
and people my audience send that out to their customers. Some of them didn't know about all this stuff, and it generates quite a lot of work for my audience. So
oh wow. Okay. So of all of those topics that you mentioned in this content you're doing, do you get feedback from your customers on what topics people should be writing about in their emails, or what ones really hit home? Do you get any feedback like that at all, or is there any?
Yeah, well, most of them are actually off. A lot of the topics you write about were actually member suggested. So
Okay.
A lot of them were saying, people always ask me about this, and it gets a little bit hard. Like it gets a little bit hard repeating myself all the time. So they quite enjoy sending out those educational articles.
Can you give me an example of something like that?
Some people don't know what a VPN is.
Okay.
We actually have some residential versions and some MSP versions, but say a residential one would be why the big box $300 computers aren't going to be good. On the business side, why you want business grade machines, better warranties are actually built to a higher specification, that sort of thing. So a lot of the articles you write come out of frustrations from the computer techs.
I see. So you can like literally just look through your forums for questions that people are asking or moaning about their customers, and then you can write up a solution piece of content.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It goes into your excellent. Okay, so so the email prospecting. Okay, you've got a list. You start this lead scoring. You send out this content. You build up that. I guess you're building up a relationship by sending out this content. I guess there's probably potentially from a managed service point of view, when it's a business-to-business relationship, it's not that residential ad hoc, relationship where you have to build up an offline relationship with them too. Yeah, you get all these nice emails from the person.
Yeah.
But there must come a time when you actually have to pick up the phone or meet with the potential client or prospect. Do you think that's something that the IT business owner should initiate, or should they just be waiting for the phone call?
The IT owner should initiate. With the emails, it's a good way to sort of thin out a larger crowd.
Yeah.
Find out who's actually interested in what you're talking about, and then at that point, then you can call. And then when you call, it's much more likely to actually convert. But at the end of the day, there is a lot of you still need to go face to face. You still need to make the call. With email and any sort of digital prospecting, especially automation, it's easy to sort of hide behind a computer, I guess. But at the end of the day, you still need to go out and present yourself. And that's something that's pretty scary for a lot of computer technicians. Yeah. But by sort of, with the sales funnel, thinning out the herd to the people who are much more likely to, you're saving a lot of time. And it's, I guess you gain a bit more confidence when they're much more likely to convert.
Mm-hmm. So if you've got that lead score on the person that's clicked many times on that that one article, then they're maybe worthy of a phone call. I've always got this reluctance in my head with that type of thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can phone up this contact because they've clicked on my email, but maybe they'll find it creepy, the fact that I'm phoning up and I mention, hey, I see you've clicked on my email 6 times. Are you really interested in this topic? Can we have a chat? But I can see how it works. It's probably just a reluctance in my own head. So is there anything else? Sorry?
Well, Yeah, you don't even necessarily have to say, oh, I've been tracking you and I've been watching you open all your emails. You can just say, oh, just I've heard about you and just wondering, that sort of thing. So you can keep it cool. You can sort of, you got to do it at whatever you're comfortable with, of course.
Balance.
But it's sort of no difference to say things like Facebook retargeting. When you visit a site, you get to the checkout perhaps, and then you're on Facebook the next day, and then on the sidebar you have do you still want this product? It's like, oh wow, they followed me back to Facebook. That's actually an extension of email marketing that you can do, is you can actually use the email list you built to import into Facebook and use that for retargeting. So what you were talking about on the phone, maybe what one of your emails said, you can have a little ad on the sidebar. So, and there's that old saying that most people sort of won't necessarily convert after the first contact. It's usually 8 or 12 or whoever you talk to. It's usually a different number anyway. But it usually takes a few hits of someone seeing what you're talking about to actually convert. And with emails, you can import that into Facebook and then go after them there as well. And sometimes certain brands you see just happen to be everywhere, and that's usually the sort of thing that they're doing. And it's quite inexpensive, Facebook retargeting as well, because you're only targeting a single person.
I've heard that. There's a lot of the SEO guys, local SEO guys, that use it. So they'll you generate the leads via SEO that come to the site, traffic, and then you just have a retargeting. And some of them actually they only retarget certain pages on their website, I've heard. So if they go to a specific page on the website, if it's a contact page or maybe it's a product that you're selling or a service, then they'll only target, the traffic that's going to that particular page, and then they know what to target, that traffic with. So do you use retargeting at all on Technibble, Bryce?
On and off. I tend to use it in bursts. I've used it before. I'm not running it at the moment, but I'll probably be running it back again soon.
Okay, so it's just out of interest. So from your side, what does that do for you when you turn it on? Do you notice a difference in a spike in sales or? Yeah.
So it's because it's fairly long line. So often I may not see like someone come back for, it could be 15 days, 20 days, something like that. But when someone hits the sales pages, they will, the Facebook pixel loads. So that isn't doing it via email. That one's actually doing it via Facebook pixel. The Facebook pixel identifies who they are through Facebook. And then that allows me to retarget it. And from there, in the past, I've had things like for the abandoned cart, for example, it says, I don't do anything. I don't do creepy wording like, well, you abandoned the cart, and it's sort of, I can just advertise it as is, not saying that you were tracked or anything like that. A lot, and it's surprising the amount of businesses that are actually doing this. It's just so effective because, as I mentioned, I'm not trying to advertise to, thousands of people and get the word out there. I'm actually only working on a single person, and that works quite well in managed services as well.
Okay, Bryce. So do you think there's anything else that we should be covering? Any questions that you think the audience might be asking in their head?
Something with emails, of course, is deliverability. Deliverability is quite important. I see some people send out, say, some elaborate HTML newsletters. They look like a school bulletin sort of thing. For that prospecting sort of stuff, you generally want to keep it fairly simple. If you're doing content newsletters, you also want to keep it fairly simple, maybe just an image and some text, because the simpler it is, the less likely it is going to get caught up in spam filter. If you actually have errors in your HTML, it'll be much worse. You can actually run it through, what we run ours through before we send it out to our people is mail-tester.com, I think it's called, and that gives you a score based on the deliverability and how likely your email will actually get through to the person, and it warns you of any errors, that sort of thing. There are other things as well, like avoiding naked links. So I might send you an email that says, hey, download my PDF at www.whatever.com. But the thing is, most email software has advanced tracking, which is what you were looking at to see who opened what. But if you have a link that says, www.whatever.com, but because of the email tracking, it actually goes to tracking.youremailsoftware.com, then a bunch of numbers after it. That will often get flagged as phishing, because there's a link that goes to somewhere that it doesn't say it actually goes to. So, it could be Because this is something that trips up a lot of people, because like in, say, like a scam email that's www.yourbank.com and then it's www.
Like a phishing link.
Yeah, it's a phishing link. So it's a lot of people get caught up with that one. So never any naked links, www.whatever.com. But things like click here to download my PDF is a much better option, and the spam filters see that as okay, because you're not saying that the link is something else.
Okay, excellent advice. So the last question I've got in my head, Bryce, these emails that you're sending out, should they be addressed that are coming from yourself, from the IT business owner, or do you think that, it's just the generic contact like info at? What do you think works better?
Definitely from yourself, or at least from the person who's most likely going to be talk to the person, because with any sort of MSP prospecting, it's all about relationships. Whatever format you do it in, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's email, whatever format, it's all about relationships. So you don't want to have like no reply at yourbusiness.com, because that's obviously bad news. Info admin, people don't necessarily want to talk to businesses, they want to talk to people. I want to see that you Scott, as a person that I can trust, that you're going to look after my machines. People like doing business with people. They don't like doing it with corporations. So even if it's a name that multiple people in your business actually access, or you have a person doing the prospecting for you, have a name, ideally the person who they'll be talking to, Bryce at whatever.com. That's usually the best way to go about it.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. Is there anything else you want to add, Bryce?
I think we covered most. Actually, one of the things I really like about email prospecting as well is that with things like Facebook, you're sort of building on somebody else's land a little, to an extent.
Their platform,
yeah, on their platform. So in 2014, Facebook, well, before 2014, everyone had to have a Facebook page. It's just sort of the thing to do. In 2014, they actually changed the rules so that you can only access about 10% of your audience. So you've got 1,000 people, whatever message you send out, these are people that want to hear from you. You're only getting out to about 100 of them unless you boost the post. So they constantly change the rules. A lot of people switch to groups as well, which is kind of the new thing. And that's actually working pretty well for a lot of people. But some people are talking about less engagement. I haven't seen what's happening quite, we haven't seen like a major drop yet, but, it can happen at any time. So social media is awesome. It's an excellent way to get people, but get them off that and onto an asset you own, like your email list. You wouldn't be impressed if I had 5,000 people on my MySpace page as well. It's sort of, but that's what happens. I mean, Facebook's the cool thing now, but the kids have already moved on to Snapchat and similar. So
Snapchat, Instagram, all that stuff. That's excellent. That's excellent advice, Bryce, because that's something that I've noticed in Facebook. When I put a post up on my business page, I get nothing, and then everyone moves to groups. And I see, actually, I'm a member of quite a few groups on Facebook, but quite often I don't see. If I don't engage with the group, then I don't see posts from the group. I have to actually manually go into the group to see the posts. So I can totally see how building your own assets. I guess, when it comes, if there's a point in the business where you might be selling the business, you have that asset that you can also sell as part of the business. And you've got a list of all these accountants or the dental practices. That's a valuable, database that, that can be a very valuable part of your business. Okay, Bryce.
Sorry? That was actually going to be my next point, is that when you sell a business, it's usually the contact list that's the primary asset.
Totally. Okay.
I totally agree.
All right, Bryce. Well, thanks for being on the show. How can people get in touch with you? What's the best way for people to contact you or see your website?
Head over onto Technibble, www.technibble.com, or you can contact me personally at bryce@technibble.com. No surprise with that email. There's two ways to get in contact with me.
Okay, excellent. All right. Thanks for coming on the show, Bryce. As mentioned, folks, today's show was sponsored by Beartac SEO. This is a book by myself. It will help you get more MSP clients using search engine optimization. If you liked this show, please subscribe. We do have a sign-up form on the website, itrockstars.co.uk, where you can join my email list But yeah, thanks for the show and we'll see you in next week's show. Thanks, folks. Bye.
No, thank you.